the guys, I think, just deserve a giant compliment, whoever they were, because like they weren't shaming him.
Yeah.
They weren't preaching to him. They were just there for him, right? They're like, but like still being like challenging and like real with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I think he said like, oh, if you like have a hangover and you feel like shit, like, why?
Yeah.
Is that?
Welcome to the Hey Brother podcast, where Catholic men share about real struggles. I'm Nick Clooney, your host, a Catholic psych mentor and the founder of Crafted for More, a mentorship practice dedicated to helping men live more radically free lives. Each week, I sit down with a man to hear his story about how brotherhood has shaped him, the struggles he's facing, and where he wants to grow. In addition to our weekly interviews, I share conversations with my brother Mitch. Subscribe and follow so we can walk this journey together. We want your help to build a stronger, authentic Catholic brotherhood. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Hey Brother Podcast. Me and Mitch are here to break down 3 things from Joe's interview that struck us as really important. These are Mitch and I's first thoughts, but as always, we want you guys to join us in the comment sections below. And this is what we do. We share our brotherhood and we invite you guys into this. So like, comment, subscribe, and here we go. We're talking about 3 things from Joe's interview. What was the first thing that kind of caught your attention?
Definitely the decision point in Joe's life, right? Where he actually, he talked about the morning after, a vital moment in his life. And, he said he heard God's voice, and I thought like it was just so interesting on how God spoke to him, because he gave him like a very authentic question of, is this what you want?
Yeah.
And it's like, it was God just giving him a very free will choice, where like Joe, he could have gone either direction, if he could have said, yes, this is what I want. And then like God would have respected his choice, right?
Sure.
But then, in his heart, it was no, right? And he's like, no, I want you. Led him towards the Lord and down a path.
Yeah, I think it's like a real like examination there too of like natural good, right? Like when we begin to feel trapped and ensnared with sin, it can be really hard to see good things and like want those good things. But then when we actually like have that pause, that moment of like, oh, like man, life kind of sucks.
Right. And like in a situation where he had it all, right? Like anyone else in his situation would have thought like, hey, things are going pretty well right now. He's got what was he DJing right at the time? And like that was going super well. And he was like living what the life the world told him to live.
Right.
But like in the fullness of that, it was only emptiness.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then one of those other things that kind of grabbed attention was him discovering porn at a really young age, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's kind of like his whole profession now. He like jumped into the freedom group, and now that's what he does as coach. He does freedom group coaching, and 7 years old, and it's young.
Yeah, but like not far off of the national average, right? I don't know what the up to date statistics are.
Yeah,
which is just disgusting.
Yeah,
but like
disgusting that it's that young. To be clear, right? Like,
yeah. And like it's like it's not super targeted for that young of kids, but it's like also not targeted, right? And I don't know, and I think most guys can relate to that, being exposed to it way too early in life.
Right.
And I think that like going forward, that's something like I want to like make sure with my kids. Like I think there is a little blind side. I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast before, but I think our parents were a little blind on how technology can be used, and like I don't know.
the whole generation of parents being blind to technology and its use, right? Like parents being blind, kids being blind, like the world started evolving and no one knew like how accessible like looking at porn could be, right?
Yeah, I don't. I guess hindsight's 2020, but like, I don't think that it probably would have took much critical thinking on what a 13-year-old would have done with an iPod in a closed door, right?
Right. Yeah.
Especially, I guess maybe that's what's different because, like, I mean, like, parents, like our parents and grandparents had like magazines, right?
Sure.
and and like that was like the equivalent of that, but I think the iPods and like the internet is so much worse because at least with the magazine, you have to know what you're getting into, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't just show up out of nowhere where the internet it does, right?
Yeah. The clicks and ads and stuff like that.
Yeah, and for like a naive like 7 or 8-year-old, right? Like well, his story was pretty funny, right?
Yeah.
But
He was just trying to get music.
yeah, he's trying to rip off so, some of the latest rap songs on to play on his parents' Walkmans. but but yeah, so like you're doing something innocent now,
Yeah.
and it just literally pops up,
Yeah.
and
That's it.
and yeah, from there now that seed's planted, and you can't unplant that
Yeah.
seed.
Yeah, it's crazy. What's the third thing that we want to talk about? The third thing that we want to take away and wrap this episode up.
Yeah, I just thought like the point after his decision point when he like chose that he wanted to leave that old life behind,
Yeah.
uh that he encountered like authentic brothers, right? And
Yeah.
like people in a way, or like he said he would go to these guys like I think it was like Saturday morning for breakfast or something, like while he was hungover.
Yeah.
Like the guys, I think just deserve a giant compliment, whoever they were, because like they weren't shaming him,
Yeah.
they weren't preaching to him, they were just there for him, right? They're like, but like still being like challenging and like real with them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, you know, I think he said like, oh, if you like have a hangover and you feel like shit, like why
Yeah.
is that good? Do you like being like this? Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, just to, like kind of ask those questions and get the ball rolling. And
Yeah. I think like there's something that I envy a little bit is like just the straightforward question asking sometimes. I feel like I could do a better job of that in my encounters with people. Or maybe envy is not the right word, but it's just like a desire to do better and oh, are you happy? Like like
this, what you're telling me, are you like that causes you happiness? Because on the outside, it doesn't look like
yeah,
that.
exactly. And maybe like that's more where my mind goes to is not necessarily like I don't know, like as a professional, like as a mentor, like a lot of times that's what I'm doing. It was like well, let's look at that. Like let's look at the thing that's not making me happy. But it's more in like outside of that when I'm in a different frame, one of the frames like friendship. Like I start to
Yeah,
question myself, like, is this the right place to challenge somebody? I think it is. I just need to kind of work through that myself. In particular, I think about like a lot of my high school friends who like aren't living like the faith out. It's like, are you really happy? Like,
yeah,
and it's not like that the Catholic faith will make you happy, but it's like there's things that they're doing that is disordered. That it's like there's something better here.
right.
Yeah,
And I think maybe for you, even like as a professional, you have time to like sit and work out with that people. But like I think in the moment, you really don't have. You have to like embrace the opportunity or give it to
right.
ask that question, right? Like because it doesn't come up very often.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I'll wait for it to come back around, right? Like,
no, right.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, that's good. Like Joe had those brothers in his life, who are real and authentic, and it's a good lesson for I think both of us and every man who's listening to this. Like, how are we showing up for guys? Not just like trying to evangelize them, not just trying to get them into Bible study or get them into another group, but like just showing up and just really being like a friend. And I think that's what I want to leave you guys with, to challenge you as you're listening to this. Like, how can you show up for guys, and how has men showed up for you in your life? And throw that in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I just want to say another like a quote from Acts, and it says they will know we are Christians because of how we love.
Yeah.
And right, like that's all it takes, just loving them well, loving people authentically.
Yeah. And that's a great place to leave it off. Like, how are we loving people in real ways? As men, like how are we loving other men in real ways? And that doesn't mean like, yeah, just trying to proselytize or like evangelize, like what the case may be, but actually showing up. And that's what's going to bring them closer to Christ, is like real authentic encounters. And yeah, let us know if that's been your case, if you've been on either side of that, where you loved guys well, or like had somebody love you well. And we'll leave it there for now. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll catch you next time. God bless.